If you had to restart your call center from scratch, what would you do?
The downside of a call center, and just overall, I think in sales and big sales teams, is
the one biggest nugget that I learned from you and your team when it came to hiring was,
are you ready to scale? Like, are you ready to take on this responsibility?
We're back. Let's just riff.
Yeah, let's just go. Let's just get it.
Back at it with another podcast, Black Sheep Agency style. Got Hunter, Hayden. What's good?
We're back.
I think what we want to touch on today is call centers. So everyone that watches Stevie knows that he built a successful team that focuses on appointment setting in chiropractic niche and dental niche. So what I think me and Hunter want to dive into today is basically how you were able to figure out the whole call center and actually run that internally. So, Hunter, do you got any questions to start off with?
Yeah, man. We were just talking about most people think that they can just throw on a call center. In fact, one of our Black Sheep students, not going to name his name,
nope,
just sucking ass when it comes to the call center. And that's okay because we're going to fix it with him. But what he's noticing is where he's located, he can't take prepayment deposits, can't take credit cards on file, so the show rate is terrible. That's one problem in his call center. Other people don't know how to manage call centers. Other people outsource call centers, and it always sucks. And the results they're always just mediocre.
They're always subpar.
I think it's easy for us to tell people, yeah, agencies at this point, lead gen is a commodity. Just build a call center. But I wanted to go deep. I wanted to go real deep. I'll just put it that way. Let's talk about let's start here, Stevie. If you had to restart your call center from scratch and you didn't have $1 million, what would you do?
No money.
Okay. All right. So
from
starting a call
start.
center, I have to start
Let's say
a
you're
call
at
center.
say you're at $10K a month.
$10K a month, starting a call center. Is that what's going down?
Yep.
All right. Step one. Okay. Do I have the skill sets I have now?
Oh no. You have
Just at $10K a month. So I have my
you have
sales.
you have
IQ,
go.
I have my,
Yeah. Let's say you just have go high level and a pack of bubble gum. What would you do?
And all my skill sets. Okay. So this is what I do. So if I was cash strapped and I was like, all right, let's do this call center thing. To be honest, first step I would do, and people hate this answer, but it's what we did, and I'd do it again, is I would personally, myself, or a team member who I believed was a savage on the phone, first prove it out for the first 30 to 60 days. We're not trying to bring on 20 clients in 60 days and fucking shit the bed. I'm not doing that. My whole goal here is I'm trying to figure out if we can actually take leads, book appointments, get them to show up, and do it better than our client was doing it. And so I want to start small. I just want to prove the concept, because the last thing I want to do is tell a bunch of clients I do something that I can't fucking do, shit the bed, refund, bad reputation, da-da-da-da-da. That's a shit show. And then scream, oh, we got 20 clients in 60 days or whatever. That shit's whack. It'd be me, myself, or an employee I had who I knew, you are verified savage on the phones. I trust you. What we would do is I'd pick 1 to 2 clients max, initially build out our script. We'd initially build out our follow-up process. We'd get our text game, our follow-up text game in order. And then what we would do is from day one, just start ripping dials, ripping the script, doing the follow-up. And as we start to progress, we're slowly going to start to realize, okay, we can tweak this part of the script, or how are we going to do this part better? And I'm really just going to work out the script to where it's like we all agree, okay, this shit is sounding good. It's sounding dope. We're booking patients. We're putting numbers on the board. People are showing up. And really the signal I'm looking for is the client to say, fuck yeah, guys. Fuck yeah. Like, we see you. We see this. That's what I'm looking for. I just want signal on, yes, I see this. What that tells me is, yo, we're down to pay.
Yeah.
We're down to pay for this shit. Like, this is sick.
I have two things here that people are probably thinking, and especially if they're thinking about creating internal appointment setters, call centers. Probably one of the first questions is, what does that system look like? I know something that made my call center not scale. So my call center is very boutique. I have like 10 clients on it, 2 schedulers right now, very small. And it works fine just like that. The client retention is great there, but when I tried to scale, it didn't work. That being said, one of my biggest issues, and probably a lot of other people's issues, was the system, was the training, was the process. I was doing things like using my client's scheduling system. We would log into theirs and we would book the appointments on there, which causes confusion. Now the scheduler has to learn this platform, this platform. You know, in our industries, right, they all have different booking platforms, right? So hard to learn all those. And so one thing I learned from you guys was that you guys just do everything on Go High Level. If the client doesn't want to do it that way, sorry, we can't work with you. That's not, you know, we have to use our system. And so talk about that, because I think that's huge, and people don't think about that.
So there's a difference between having a call center with like 2 to 3 to 4 people versus literally going for it where you're trying to build out a call center that's going to have 30, 40, 50 people managing a fuck ton. And so at scale, you can't have all these complexities, because when you're hiring these people and you're training people and you're hiring new people, what are you going to do? Just constantly have a full-blown week on hiring people on how to use all these different softwares? It's so inefficient. It doesn't make sense. We don't have an answer for it yet. The only answer is, look, when we book these appointments, we're going to send you all the information, and all Susie has to do, the front desk, is just put that into your guys' EHR system, and that's it. And we never run into problems. I honestly can't remember the last time someone was like, oh, like it's just so inefficient for us to take a fucking qualified booked appointment that you guys generated, qualified, and put on and gave to us into the calendar that's worth 10K, 20K, 30K. So we don't have any problems with it.
Love that. Let's go into pros and cons of the call center. So if you could say, let's start with a con. Let's start with the biggest problem with the call center, in your opinion. Just not yours in general, but just with selling it as a service.
The biggest con of a call center, I mean, I can only speak of like, when we talk about call centers, I want to make sure we're talking about
internal.
This isn't just a baby little project. Like, what's the con of a call center with 20, 30, 40 people? It's people. It's literally training and keeping people in the game performing at KPI or above KPI and removing the mediocrity. Because at the end of the day, this is a sales role. Like, we are responsible for outproducing our clients and what they would do. And that typically means the dials per day, the execution on the phone, the performance in show rates, and just that whole thing. It's a lot of work. Like, it's not just, hey, we're just going to call people and book them. No, it's like, it's a full-blown operation. And so the toughest part, the downside of a call center, and just overall, I think in sales and big sales teams, is you're managing a lot of salespeople, and sales can be tough. And you need strong management, you need strong training, strong leadership if you're trying to do this shit at scale.
I agree with that.
I bet everybody listening has, if they have a call center, whether it's internal, they're outsourcing it, or they have one team member doing it, I'm willing to guarantee they have not broken down a call in the last 3 months.
Dude, like, this is the way I see it. When you look at these bigger companies, startups, whatever, all types of companies that have, just 30, 50, 100 people on the floors ripping dials, there's so much emphasis on, like, boom, the morning of, the sales managers look at, okay, what was daily call volume for the entire team? Who was below? Who was average? Who was above? Okay, that we're tracking in work ethic and dials. Okay, who booked the most appointments or set the most demos? Who was below? Who was above? Like, you're managing all these KPIs on a daily basis, weekly basis, and then you're constantly jumping into calls, auditing calls, making sure people are on process. And then through that, you're also innovating the current sales process, because if you have the same script and phone call as you did 2 years ago, that's a problem. Like that means you're not thoroughly thinking like, how do we make this thing better, stronger, faster to produce more appointments, higher show rates, and overall just better results. It's a full blown thing, you know.
And this is the problem with a lot of agency owners. I'm even guilty of this sometimes. I will spend hours making B2B ads. I'll spend hours reviewing B2B sales calls and closing more clients. And myself and a lot of other people won't spend the same amount of time making ads for their clients or just making sure that the call center is good. And that's where building a product is always better. If you look at these massive companies, by the way, the massive Fortune 500 companies, a lot of them put way less emphasis on marketing and sales, and they put all the money back into product because they know product will scale.
100%.
So, yeah, people definitely aren't putting in the proper time when
So
it
it's
comes to like
interesting.
auditing.
It's interesting you say that, Hunter, because I'm guilty of the opposite. Like I put so much emphasis in reviewing all the ads, reviewing all of the clients' assets, marketing, and just making sure that my media buyer is always on point, and just randomly going into ad accounts, checking, being like, why the hell is this CPL at this? Why don't we already do something to change this? But I don't really focus too much on the sales side of thing or the call center side of thing now because of how small it is. But I also want to touch on something that has hurt me in the past. Luckily, it didn't mess with our reputation because exit interviews super important with the clients, making sure the client, you have good communication there. But I've had situations where we sent in someone, you know what I mean, to go get a treatment, and that person had a meltdown inside the spa, and that gets directly related back to you. So because we called that person, we qualified them, they came into the spa, they had a bad experience and left a bad review. That's one of the cons that I could see with call center, that these things can happen if your team's not trained the right way and they don't ask the right pre-qualification questions, and they're just sending whoever through the door because they're getting compensated on booking and shows, right? And so it's really important that they're trained up. So that was big mistake for me, is like, you don't want to ruin your client's reputation. They're going to be fucking pissed.
Yeah. Well, I guess you could consider that a con is if you're doing the leads and the appointments, then you're basically taking full responsibility of the success of the marketing campaign. And so if it doesn't work, you can't point any fingers other than at yourself. Back in the day, it used to be this war between, you guys aren't following the lead, you're not following up, da-da-da-da. If you go full-blown call center, full service, you remove that escape. And so personally, I love that though. I want to be in a position where it's like, it is all on us. And the more responsibility we take, at the end of the day, the more successful we're with it, the more we're going to get paid and the bigger impact we're going to have. And so it comes with risk, it comes with responsibility, but that responsibility should drive you to ensure that, like, are you ready to scale? Like, are you ready to take on this responsibility? Like, and that's why I'm saying from the beginning, we ironed out the fucking scripts in the process and the follow-up and really started to see the consistency of what we could do with 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 clients before we realized, okay, let's take this next step and hire 2 more appointment setters and then see what that looks like. So it wasn't just like let me hire a bunch of people overseas and give them this script and let's just charge more. And like, that is a nightmare, bro. Like that's just a nightmare.
So let me ask some rapid fire questions that are really tactical about the Digital Ox call center to anybody at, like, I don't know, let's say like 10 to 50K a month trying to build it internally. Step 1, either you call all the leads or somebody you really trust, maybe a partner or a C-suite level person, calls all the leads and builds out scripts. Cool. So now we have scripts. We know that it's working well. What about all the logistical side of things? On go high level. And maybe you don't know all the answers to this, Stevie, but are you guys using a power dialer or are you calling each and every lead?
Yeah, no power dialer. We're calling each and every lead. I think we're going to test the power dialer coming up. I just feel like It wasn't, I don't know why we weren't doing it previously. It might not even be something, which is something to test, right? But yeah,
Okay.
we call in each individual lead.
And what's
Usually
the
our
cadence?
average caller does at least 130 calls a day.
Okay. What's the cadence on calling people? Are they double dialing?
We used to double dial. We're not double dialing anymore right now in the current strategy. So it's basically we're calling 4 to 5 times in the first week, and that's also compiled with our texting campaign.
Okay. The texting campaign, is that personalized or is it a template?
Yeah, so it's it's a template, and then we always split test. So we have at the end of the day, the texting, the only goal of the text message is to get them to respond.
Mm-hmm.
And no one's being booked over a text ever. Like that's a guaranteed no show. We have to get them to respond to a text, then get them on the phone, so then we can actually build the relationship, build the value, book the appointment, have that clarity on like you're booking this appointment, and it's clear that like we're not
Yeah.
just trying to book someone through a text message.
Yeah, and for what it's worth, if you guys are using AI, I know that was a huge fad for a little bit to book through companies like Allen. I know there's one called Capri. There's a bunch of like AI things to
Zappy
book
Chat.
people. It just doesn't, it's just never going to be as good as a call center. So, okay, I got the cadence, 4 to 5 calls in the beginning of a week. All the texts are just to elicit a response. Makes sense, not booking over text. Might do a power dialer, but you guys have been really intentional with reaching out to people without a power dialer and it still works. So do you have any tips for not showing up as spam when you call? Any softwares maybe Hayden you know about as well?
Not showing up as spam.
Yeah, I know there's one
Hayden.
called Wave. It's WAVV. And if you apply to it through Go High Level, it helps a lot. So if you guys are noticing your pickup rate is terrible, it's probably because you're showing up as potentially spam on the phone. So I would research a ton of softwares that can help with that as well.
Nice. Wave. Yeah, I've never heard of that one. For us, it's just making sure everything's A2P, right? And then doing the CNAM, which tries to show their caller ID. I also feel like CNAM, I don't know what you guys think about it. This is more of a technical thing. If you guys use Go High Level, you know what this means. But CNAM is basically how your name shows up, basically like the business name when you're calling leads. I don't even think it works. I've never really seen it work, to be honest. It says you can do it in Go High Level. I've verified it every time. But then whenever I test it on my phone, it never shows up as the company name. Don't know if you guys have seen the same thing, but the caller ID thing doesn't really work.
I haven't tried it yet, but yeah, there's a bunch of softwares. Even if it just shows up as a number, you just don't want to be shown as potentially spam. 50% plus of these people, way more than 50%, are going to have iPhones. So it makes sense. And then on your training library, Stevie, when you're ramping people up, let's say people just put all those tactical things in practice. You guys have an internal sales library, almost like a mini course inside Go High Level to ramp people up in the first couple of days. Can you explain a little bit what that looks like for when people need to take on new call center team members?
Yeah, so we basically have a 2-week boot camp. And so just like if you were joining any organized sales company, they're going to have to get you up to par on the industry, the product, knowledge, the customer, pain points. Like you can't, you got to go in knowing, okay, I'm getting it. So we have a 2-week boot camp. The beginning is usually a lot of just industry and product knowledge. Like they have to feel good about what they're selling. They have to know what they're selling, because obviously that's what they're doing. And so that's step 1. Step 2 is a lot of just script training, shadowing, and a lot of role playing. And then basically what happens is there's a graduation where they have to be able to say the script without the script in front of them and get an A on that role play with our sales manager. And so once they do that, then we know, okay, they're ready to start taking the phones, because if someone remembers the script, then you're already allowing them to be more of themselves on the call and be able to listen and have it be a flowy conversation. If they're just on there, have you ever tried to do a sales call fresh reading a script that you don't know? It's so uncomfortable.
Yeah,
You're just like, duh, like you can't do that. You got to prep. So that's the preparation that goes into it. Is a lot of role playing, script training, script memorization, product knowledge, shadowing on like what a flow looks like, what a day looks like, how to operate, time management, time blocking, all that.
So let's end this with this because I think this is a good topic for another podcast. But we'll end it with this. The one biggest nugget that I learned from you and your team when it came to hiring was showing the potential prospect who's going to be an employee at your company their expectations, their KPIs on what they're going to be graded on their last interview before they say, yes, let's do this. So you're basically putting the ball in their court. And just explain that to everyone, because for me, that helped out so much, because the person that gets hired already knows what they're going to get judged on. And so explain that process, because when you guys told me that, it just kind of opened my mind. I know it's more advanced, but for anyone hiring, watching this video, I mean, you could take this.
Hiring people is going to be successfully hiring people is going to be absolutely critical if you ever want to build like a multi-million-dollar agency. Like, it's just critical because people is the fundamentals of the agency. And so through all the trial and error of hiring people as a beginner and realizing, fuck, why didn't these people work out? Or like, I thought they were good, they sounded good, we connected, all that is just emotions. Like, we go in, obviously we need to make sure we connect on a culture fit, understand their goals, who is this person, all that. But then we get into like, we show them under the hood of the company. This is who we are. This is who we serve. These are the problems we solve. These are the customers that we're talking to every day. This is our process. This is what a day-to-day looks like. These are the expectations. These are the characteristics of the role. We go into all of it. Like, there's just so much more in a visual presentation, just so they know what they're getting into. Like, I want to be so transparent on the good and the bad that like there's no like shock, like, oh, what, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. No, like, we want to be totally open. And then part of the interviewing process is letting them know, like, this is a scorecard. This is what a scorecard is meant for, and these are going to be literally the top 3 to 5 outcomes that you're going to be judged on. So like, this is the most important thing. If you do this, you're fucking crushing. Number 2, super important, but and then 3, 4, 5, just so they know going in, okay, this is like what I need to do. This is where I'm focused. This is where I'm going. And I mean, you guys already know the scorecards is a game changer. You know, like,
So important. So I think we should drop some value for your YouTube audience. I think we should have a little Google Doc for them, have a little write up of a scorecard, have a little couple things that we talked about in this video, just to give them some action items. And I think that'd be super beneficial for your YouTube audience. I think they'd appreciate it. So I think we should roll that out for them.
let's do it.
Let's drop that. And yeah, if people are hiring without a scorecard, it's something you need to do immediately, no matter where you're at inside your agency. And the last thing I'll say, Stevie's call center is a lot of commission based. So like, the role needs to be representative of the production that they're doing. I used to hire people on base salaries for every role, and it was terrible. And when you go back to people and explain why they're not doing well, it doesn't matter. They're getting paid the same. So there needs to be a graded pay scale on a lot of roles. A lot.
Perfect. Let's end it with that. Let's end it with that question, because I know we got to wrap up here. But what does an outsourced salary look like for call center? What does a US-based call center or call rep, sales rep, whatever it is, look like? What are those two different prices based on your experience, Stevie? And you just give a general range.
I mean, obviously our team's US based, so I'd say the average base salary is like $40K, and then it's plus commission plus bonus. So obviously commission is based on appointments set and showed, and then there's bonuses just based on show rates and all the KPIs that we're closely tracking that just are equivalent to like production. Outsource, I don't really know. Like, I know of it. I mean, you could probably get someone. I mean, I know you can get people in South America and stuff for like 1,000, 1,500, 2K. But I'd highly recommend like.
I did
pay more at the beginning if you're going to go that route, just so you can prove the concept.
I agree. And just some background about what I did. I started at $500, typically in Mexico for my call center. And then it was $20 per showed appointment. So just for anyone looking to get some numbers there. But a better approach I found was $100 per account that they manage, right? $100 base salary per account they manage plus $20 a show. So that way they have some room to grow, and you don't have to, it just makes more sense from a scaling perspective. So I like that one. That way, if they do manage 10 accounts, they can be making $1,000 in base. If they manage 6, they're making 600. So I think I like that strategy for outsourced call center.
Yeah, I guess my final encouragement is like, if you're gonna go for it, it's better to just do it right and try to build $1 million a month agency with this call center if you're about to do it. Because if you do that, that's how you're gonna get really rich. Like, if you go in your industry and you pop up at the top as the most effective performance ad agency, appointment setting agency, and you're driving in good business, you have good retention, healthy margins. I mean, it's just plain. It's clear as day. Like, the way to get rich and wealthy is to build a big business, and if you sell it, cool. But if not, you're still having these big bottom line payouts. And so that's what I encourage you guys to do is think bigger.
Think bigger, and also probably as all of us as entrepreneurs in the digital marketing space, we thought that we could make a bunch of money just by ourselves. We're like, we're going to make all this profit. It's just going to be me. I don't need anyone else. I know I thought that in the beginning, and I had conversations with Stevie a long ass time ago in like 2018, 2019, where he's like, what do you want to do with this agency? And I was like, honestly, if I make like $10,000 a month and it's just me and I'm just making 10 grand in my pocket every month, like I'm going to be so happy. That's all I want. And then obviously things fucking change. You realize you can't do that. You realize that if you lose 1-2 clients, your revenue goes down to like freaking 4K or 3K a month. And you're like, oh shit, what am I going to do? So team, guys, is so important. And you're never going to, have an agency that's really real, that lasts a long time, that you could sell if you're trying to do it by yourself. I've like really never seen that happen ever.
100%.
Dope.
So guys, it's been real.
Black sheep, baby.
Signing off.